him. Baek Jeho then asks if he's honestly not interested in Battleground, and Seomun Yeop replies no, because he hates it for being like a circus. With a sigh, Jeho says he understands, and there's nothing to be done. Yeop just watches him silently, but Baek Jeho states that the nation's espers are not a lost cause, making Seomun Yeop question what he means, and he replies they still have espers like her. A billboard on the road displays Baek Haeyeon's image, and Yeop comments that she's very beautiful. Then, Baek Jeho reveals she is his daughter. Yeop is surprised, remembering Haeyeon as a 6-year-old, but Jeho corrects him, saying 17 years have passed and she's now 23. He tries to play it off, commenting that she's beautiful and 17 years flew by, still seeing traces of her childhood face. Jeho just tells Yeop to stop and he apologizes. The car drives along the road under the night sky. They finally reach their destination, a large modern house. Baek Jeho's wife, Han Soon-shi, appears and calls out Yeop's name. She greets him, saying he's finally back after so long, and he replies that to him it's only been a week. Seomun Yeop jokes that he's aged a lot in a week, and Sun-shi laughs, calling him silly. She tells her husband he must be tired from driving, but he states it was the least he could do for a friend he thought was dead for 17 years. Watching the couple, Yeop reflects that it's starting to sink in, and that he really did survive and return. He realizes he's in a peaceful world, without wars or dungeons, and now, standing before that house, he wonders what he'll do with his life. For now, he decides to just relax a bit and grabs the remote control. Lying on the sofa, Seomun Yeop wonders if anything good is on, but suddenly something on the screen surprises him. He sits up, seeing their replaying Stairs to Hell, and celebrates, curious about the ending. With clenched fists, he declares, "This is it!" Then Yeop declares that this is the reason he survived. Baek Jeho enters the room and hears him announce he's going to binge-watch the series to the end with lots of snacks. He further adds that he'll watch all the shows he missed since 2005, leaving Jeho shocked by the idea. Jeho rushes to him and asks if he's really going to stay home watching all the shows he missed. Seomun Yeop reminds him that he said to do whatever he wanted, and the other reluctantly agrees. But Baek Jeho opens the curtain, saying the reporters have been outside for days, and won't leave until they see him. Yeop then gets up from the sofa to take a look. On the other side of the window, there's a massive crowd of reporters. He turns, calling them annoying leeches. Realizing he has no choice, he gets up from the sofa. And finally, Seomun Yeop orders Jeho to gather the reporters for the next day. He adds that he'll gather them to tell them to get out of his life. The next day, in a large building, cameras flash for the start of the press conference. Seomun Yeop and Baek Jeho walk onto the stage, while reporters comment that he seems calm and the event was quicker than expected. An announcer declares the start of the press conference as Yeop faces the flashes. Holding the microphone, he introduces himself, saying that, as everyone can see, he has returned, and the situation is as curious to him as it is to them. Beside him, Jeho watches, relieved, believing that this time he's handling the situation properly. But Yeop continues, stating he's not grateful at all, and that everyone can ask their questions, and then get out of his life. Jeho realizes he hasn't changed at all, and announces they'll answer questions one by one. Asked how he returned from the final dungeon, Seomun Yeop replies he has no idea and simply woke up in the hospital. Next, he denies having memories of the last 17 years, says he had no contact with the other heroes, and doesn't intend to reclaim his assets. He asks for the next question and points to a reporter raising his hand. The man asks if he's heard about Battleground with Coach Baek Jeho, and Yeop confirms he has. Then the reporter questions him if he has plans to become a Battleground player. The crowd of reporters begins to whisper about the question. Baek Jeho merely observes, as the question he'd been expecting was finally asked. Seomun Yeop replies he has no interest whatsoever. The reporter then questions him about the reason. He simply states he's not interested, but the man provokes him, asking if he's lacking confidence. On the screen, Seomun Yeop points and replies that the only thing lacking there is the hair on his head. He states that Battleground doesn't look fun, and he won't act like a clown for their entertainment. Yeop hopes everyone's curiosity has been satisfied, as he no longer wants any harassment. He then bids them farewell. As he turns to leave, Baek Jeho thanks everyone for their presence, but someone asks them to wait. A reporter asks to ask one more question before he leaves. He mentions that a player named Gerald Walker accused him of not being on his level and asks what he thinks of that. Seomun Yeop is silent for a moment and just repeats the name Gerald Walker. The reporter explains he's a famous player in the United States, known as the pride of the tanker position. Yeop then asks if he is the strongest player, but the man replies there are 3 great players at the top: Nathan Bernard from France, Roy Meyer from Ireland, and Daniel Mance from Germany. The reporter clarifies that Walker is a very skilled player, but not ranked among the top 3. Seomun Yeop sighs, saying he understands that 17 years have passed. He then turns and sends a message to Walker not to be so cocky if he's not even among the top 3. And he further says that if he wants to fight instead of using Battleground, he should come meet him in person. Then Yeop raises his finger and declares he'll personally bury him in the backyard. Elsewhere, the broadcast is watched on a large television screen. The CEO of the player agency, Zachary Wood, asks Walker if he heard that. A hand crushes the remote control. The man, Walker, calls out Wood's name. And finally, he orders them to prepare the jet for Korea immediately. An official match against the United States is announced. Baek Jae-ho questions on the phone how they could do this so suddenly. Seomin Yeop complains about the noise and asks Baek Jae-ho to go outside, who in turn agrees. Yeop complains he couldn't hear the TV and asks what's happening. Baek Jae-ho then informs him about the match in 2 weeks. He simply replies that he doesn't care. Baek Jae-ho blames him, mentioning Gerald Walker's name. Seomin Yeop asks who that person is. Baek Jae-ho reminds him that it's the one he promised to bury in the backyard. Seomin Yeop finally recalls. He continues, saying the man has been furious since his public humiliation, but Seomin Yeop thinks the guy is petty. Baek Jae-ho explains that since he can't fight Yeop, he'll seek revenge against the Korean team. Seomin Yeop questions what the team has to do with him and calls the other man weird. Baek Jae-ho merely puts a hand to his head. He then tells his companion to cheer up, saying he'll have fun in his stead. Seomin Yeop suddenly sits up and asks about the national team's match. Then he questions if Hayeon will be there, since she's a national team player. Elsewhere, Baek Hayeon arrives home and announces